All right, we are joined by Pat Fitzgerald, head football coach, the Pat and Shirley Ryan head football coach. I know I got to throw that in there.
Dan and Susan Jones, but you were close. That's okay.
I knew I was close enough, but I know how you always introduce yourself, and I went off the cuff there. I want to start here for the interview. I want to say congratulations to your son, Jack, on his commitment to Northwestern University.
Thanks. I'm really fired up, man. I get to see him more in college than I did in high school, so good stuff, man. As a dad, you're incredibly proud. The best part is I'm not going to coach him every day, right? He's got a position coach, so he'll deal with him, but it'll be great to be around him every day.
So I kind of wanted to touch on
what was that living room recruitment looking like?
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I've been working that one for 31 years. I thought I had an in with the mom and it made it hard, but she said he's going to have to make his own decision, so that's the way it worked out.
How do rules like that for the NCAA, like obviously you're eating dinner with him, there's dead periods and all that, there's granted rate waivers, but is there any weird rules like, hey, you can't do this, no official visits till then, blah, blah, blah?
All the rules apply. I mean, everything is exactly like everything else, except, I get to go home every night. So, we kind of had a little two-headed monster, recruiting him a little bit. It was kind of a no-brainer. He's an unbelievable student. Really proud of him.
Yeah, I heard he aced his ACT, which is incredible. So he would have gotten on his own, I'm sure, which is an amazing feat given it's Northwestern University. But moving forward, so we got the fun stuff, the icebreaker out of the way. Got to talk about that 3-9. What went down last year where it was like, holy shit, we just got, came from Big Ten championship, smoking Auburn on New Year's Day. What was the difference? Was it just transition year between the new defensive coordinator and Hank leaving, lack of being prepared? What was it?
Well, it's probably a lack of support from you, but besides that,
still a season ticket holder.
Yeah, no, I know you didn't come. I pulled up the numbers on my phone. I saw you didn't attend. Actually sold them on to a third party, but that's all right. We'll leave that one alone. Just a fair weather guy. You only show up in the even year, so it'll be great to welcome you back to Ryan Field this year. You were there. You're a part of it. I mean, we didn't play efficiently on offense, especially, from a consistency standpoint at quarterback. We had a little bit of injury issues in a couple places that you don't want to have them. That's not an excuse, it's just a reality. And, the next group of guys maybe didn't compete the way we wanted them to, and that's ultimately on us as coaches. Defensively, now we didn't tackle very well. I mean, to me, that was the biggest issue. The year before, we had 11 guys get an opportunity to go to the NFL. We had a lot of, new starters. And I wish those guys had more time because you learn so much in your first year starting. And they gave everything they had. And obviously it wasn't good enough. I thought we could have got to 6 or 7 wins. I think that probably at a certain point was our ceiling. And, not to get that was incredibly and bitterly disappointing. But the good news is we're undefeated again.
Exactly. And it's going to be a fun year. And I stay in touch with a few guys from the program that, years past, they're not there anymore. But from the sounds of it, it sounds like the attitude is, I don't want to say night and day because it's not like they didn't work hard last year or didn't care last year. It's like they know what they did wrong and they're working to improve it, and it's gonna be a solid season. But you mentioned the quarterback consistency. The only consistency you guys have had since Clayton Thorson was Ramsey from the 2020 season. I mean, what was that, 8 total games or 9 total games, whatever it was because of the pandemic. But what are you guys doing right now to kind of find that consistency with the quarterback position?
Yeah, like you said, competition. I mean, right now, kind of Ryan and Helinski and Brendan Sullivan have separated themselves. Those two guys have had really good camps. I think we can win with both guys at this point. I'm looking at my calendar here. We're going on to practice 13 tomorrow. Both guys have been really efficient. They've taken care of the ball really well. So I think we can win with both guys. And I said this to the media the other day. Last time I felt like we could win with, 2 quarterbacks, no matter who was in, was when we had Keen and Trevor. I felt really good. Now, those guys were maybe a little bit different in what their skill sets were, but I felt really good about those 2 guys.
Now, it looks like you had the rough year, as Dave said, but it hasn't impacted your recruiting at all. Right now, you have the 3rd-ranked class in the Big Ten. I know you probably don't care about the rankings too much, but you're getting a lot of bodies in there. How have you been able to adjust to this kind of feels like we're in a Wild West era with NIL and transfer portals and all that. So what have you changed personally from the way that you recruit and get guys in this new circumstance?
Yeah, I haven't really changed a lot at all, frankly. Just trying to, it can be genuine, be authentic, build real relationships with guys, not, nonsense that some other coaches tell these kids all the things they want to hear, then they get into the program, and that's not the way it is. We're kind of the other way around. It's just being really transparent, really open, really honest. This is who we are. This is how we do things. Get around our program as much as you can. Get to know our players, and that's your best recruiters always are your players. And the credit really goes to them and the assistant coaches and our recruiting staff. But now we got to win games and hold on to those guys, right? I mean, that's ultimately the next step. But really fired up about the group we have, and the talent we have in our locker room, and adding a great class. I think the future is incredibly bright. I'm really fired up about it.
Now, you said earlier that you got to a point where you're looking at the team last year where you thought your ceiling would be 6 or 7 wins. Is there a point in camp where you're like, oh boy, we got it? Like, if you're looking back over years, do certain camps feel different when you think you have a team that can win the Big Ten West? Can you tell right away?
Attitude-wise, attitude jumps out typically. If you have competitive depth, it's really important because you're going to have injuries, you're going to have adversity, and are you going to be able to continue to sustain a high level of play? Maybe when you get a couple guys dinged up and aren't able to play. So that's typically kind of some of the hallmarks. But usually by the end of September, you got a pretty good idea. You've been to 3 or 4 games. Again, you see how the team handles everything, wins. Maybe you end up on the short end of one of those early games, and how we handle it the next week. You got a pretty good DNA after about a month.
Now, we opened the show with this kind of by accident, but we were talking about football and conditioning. Is there a drill that you as a coach were like, oh, I'm going to get in their ass today? Like, this is my favorite way. Like I talked about, I used to have a coach who would, I think most teams did, a guy who would stand on the sled. And you're the wagon driver, and we're the horsepower. Is there something that you're like, this one's for me? Like I love doing this drill.
Yeah, no. I haven't done anything since Prince was cool in the 90s when it comes to football, so I'm going to leave that alone. It's all about the guys right now. But we condition a couple times a week, and I'm kind of a little bit of I don't tell them when we're going to condition. It could be coming right out of stretch. It could be at the end. It could be going in, and I'm kind of a little bit of a psycho about it. I'm like, let's go for a little jog. They're like,
that's mental warfare right there.
We absolutely hate you.
Well, that's how you get them ready for Camp Randall. You get ready for that.
Well, you got to put it in the bank for the fourth quarter. I mean, we won more games over. I think in my time, Paul Kennedy was telling me we won more games, 1-score games than anywhere else in the country. So we play close games. It's going to go down to the wire, and usually you fall back on your training. You fall back, especially on your conditioning, and we've prided ourselves on being the best conditioned team in the country.
Now, I want to get back to the NIL stuff in a few minutes, but on that note, you guys have made, like you said, you've won more since you've been the head coach. You've won more 1-score games than anybody else in the country, and that has been kind of the hallmark of Northwestern. Awesome defense, especially, I know he's not there anymore, when in the Coach Hank years. 1-score games, ball control offense. Has there been any, and with Coach Bajakian, and now it's a similar style to when McCall was here, but is there any, like in any given game when the offense is just not humming the way that you envision it to, where you're like, I got to start opening it up more and play like that air raid, maybe not ball control, maybe score in 3-4 plays instead of 10 or 11?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, we'd love to have explosive plays and score in 2 or 3. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that's, we start doing analytics on things. Explosive plays are key, to scoring touchdowns and drives. There's no doubt that we would love to do that a lot more. But you're right. We've been really good on defense, and that's, you gotta, it's not about yards and points. It's about winning games. And, you just got to understand who you typically are, who you are with that team. Mm-hmm. We've just, for whatever reason, been a little bit better at times maybe, but there's been other years where our offense has totally carried us where, we've given up too many explosive plays or not tackled well. Kind of want to have that, kind of hand in glove. You want to be able to have it be complementary and work well together, and then you got to adjust when it's not working.
And on that note, the Coach Hank ran a 4-3, and a lot of times it was very base 4-3, not a lot of exotic blitzes or moving guys around. It's like, hey, here's our set, try and beat it. And most of the time, other teams didn't beat it. Why the switch to the 3-4 or 4-2-5 and instead of just it's not broken, don't fix it type thing, you know?
Yeah, I would say if you look at our numbers, they're pretty similar last year as far as overall 4-3 and different sub packages to what we'd been in the previous years with Hank. We just didn't have success, and so people like you overanalyze things, and we got to deal.
That's not just football; it's everything.
I got to deal with BS questions. Like thanks, Master of Obvious, but that's okay. It's a world I live in, and I get paid to be in. But no, in all seriousness, now the numbers are pretty close. I mean, there's maybe a couple of terminology changes and a couple of little wrinkles here or there, but defense is pretty simple, man. You got to execute. You got to play with great effort, and you got to understand and know where your help is. And lastly, you got to tackle. And, last year at times that to me was our biggest issue, our poor tackling. And that's something that we work on. We worked on last year relentlessly, and we'll continue to work on it and just trying to find ways to get guys confident. So I think we're in a much better place today than we were a year ago at this time.
Yeah. Now, Coach, when I look at you and I think about you, you're Mr. Big Ten. You've been there a long time. You're one of the longest tenured guys. You obviously played in the league. How does it make you feel when you watch all the craziness that's gone down this offseason, where now something that you circled as like, man, I hope we get to the Rose Bowl, now that's a conference game? How does that sit with you as a guy who played in the Big Ten, bleeds Big Ten, Midwest football? What does this landscape mean to you, these changes?
Well, it's an interesting time. There's no doubt. I think the word for today is change. I mean, that's what's going on with college football. Somebody's got to take charge of this thing, right? I mean, to me right now, that's what's missing. We have 5 great commissioners of the Power 5 conferences, and the other conferences, the Group of 5, have great commissioners, but we don't have one governing body. And I know the NCAA, their focus is basketball, and I get why and all that, and they make control championships and maybe recruiting rules and things of that nature. But, I think for this thing to kind of come together, we need to have somebody in charge, and decisions need to be made. And then we got to get rid of this chaotic period. I thought I saw Commissioner Warren say we're probably in year 2 of a 5-year chaotic period. Then that's good. I can't wait till year 5 when this whole thing settles down. Now, the day-to-day doesn't really impact us, with the players. It impacts you in recruiting. It impacts you in scheduling. It impacts, a lot of things when it comes to when you're looking at down the road, trying to set your schedule. And like right now we have UCLA on our schedule. Oh, it's going to become a conference game. So now we got to add a non-conference game. So, there's a lot of those little nuances and wrinkles. I think I've been pretty outspoken saying whatever's better for players, I put 2 hands up and I'm all for it. But it's got to be great for all athletes, not just football and basketball. I'm a little concerned about that model right now. I don't know, the unknown to me is what scares me. Again, football and basketball will be fine. But that's a small percentage of overall student athletes. And so I just want to make sure we're looking at this at a macro level. Back when I was playing, we didn't have NIL deals because there wasn't a lot of money in the TV contracts.
You would have cleaned up.
Yeah, it would have been a good deal. Yeah,
you would have cleaned up.
Fleet ride on the south side.
Yeah, right.
But at any rate, all the it's all great for players. It's all great. The third parties that are trying to get involved in the game, you can masquerade it all you want that you're trying to help these players. They're not. They're in it to get money. Yep. They see the pot of gold called the TV contracts, and anything else is baloney. As someone who's played, I didn't need someone to be a go-between me and my coaches. I needed to grow up, be a man, and all this other stuff. Should players have a voice? Absolutely. Should players be listened to? Absolutely. Should there be collective conversations? No doubt. All those things are all healthy. They're all good. We do that here in our program. We have a leadership program. Are we perfect? No. Do you guys still not like things? Yeah. Well, guess what? That's life. Yeah. Right. So you got to learn how to work with things. You got to learn how to grow up. You got to learn how to advocate for yourself. But I would say this: the game has never been stronger in between the lines, and probably never more chaotic outside of it. But I think the players are having a blast, and to me, that's ultimately what it's all about. It's the players having a great time, a great experience, and our fans enjoying watching those guys compete.
Well, I'm glad it's from your perspective, is good for the players and the game has never had better athletes and things like that. I hate it. I hate the realignment. I want November 1st, cold, gray skies, Northwestern, maybe Iowa punts from their own, from the other team's 33. Like, that's what I want from Big Ten football. And I feel like if everybody's in a conference, like, conferences don't have an identity. It's not like, hey, like, we're Big Ten football. And that to me, like, that should mean special, something. For sure. And that adds. Yeah. So it's not.
I agree.
Yeah, it's not good. To me, it's not good for the game. When overall it might have, like, it almost feels like short-term thinking to me. So I wanted your take on that. But yeah, I want the players to be compensated or taken care of in a way where kids aren't going hungry, like all the horror stories you hear. But sometimes I think it's, everyone here is too big to fail. I think it might be so big it has to fail. So I really hope that.
Again, where are we going? Are we going to be a Power 2 conferences? Is it Power 5? Like to me, we're just kind of spinning our wheels until all those decisions are made, and then you can start to really, create a path forward. Again, I'm looking out at our field hockey field that just won the national championship. Like, I think about those women, right? I think about that team and all these discussions we've had this summer. You haven't heard about it. It's this.
It's all football.
It's all the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
And on that note, you have to adapt or die. Like, you read all these articles about Texas Tech and Tennessee, and I just saw SMU, like, each player, you could be the last walk-on on the squad. He's getting paid, I think it was $36,000 per year, and that's just base. How are you guys adapting to that?
Yeah, well, we have, we just hired a general manager to oversee the NIL for our guys, so that's awesome. We're going to have somebody in-house, and then I think some assistants that are going to help them. Like I told our guys, man, hey, as long as it doesn't distract you from school, what's important to you with football and what's important beyond that, go do it, man. But it's a job, right? If you're going to put, Instagram posts out or Twitter posts or autographs or camps or whatever it may be, you got to make sure you manage that the right way. And then the collective piece, which is obviously new, we'll have one before too long, but we're going to do it our way, similar to what maybe some other schools have done. And we're, right now, inducing players to transfer or to come as a recruit is still against the NCAA rules. So we're not going to do that. It just is what it is. It's great. I mean, it was funny. I sat on national boards and we talked to folks that were the powers that be, and we're like, name, image, likeness. That's great. If you put guardrails around it, it'll be awesome for the guys. If you don't, you're going to have SMU of the 80s with the Pony Express. And guess where we are? Not even a year into, or a little over a year into it. That's right where it went. So history has a tendency to repeat itself, and we'll work through it. I haven't seen any major issues. Again, we try to do a huge, from a opportunity standpoint, but then, hey, here's what the taxes are. Here's what you have to understand. Like, for every dollar, you got to keep 30 cents, and all those things that I think are really important as guys are trying to leverage, their name, image, and likeness.
Now, the other big bit of Northwestern news since the last time we talked to you, I can't remember exactly when it became official. You guys are getting a new stadium. So I've seen some renderings. It looks sweet. I have one very important question for you, though.
Wait, you've seen renderings? Because
I feel like I've seen them. Maybe you sent them to me.
I haven't seen any renderings.
All right, so it's been announced, though. It's been announced, or like dimensions. Like, we're going to have a capacity, whatever.
I heard 35,000 or something.
My question for you is, are you going to have grass? Are you going to keep the grass? I want grass.
Yeah, I doubt it. I'd love to have the opportunity to host high school football games.
Okay.
I'd love to have the opportunity for other sports to host. Is it Coach Amante Hiller and the lacrosse team hosted national championship games there? You know what I mean? I think that would be awesome. Love to talk to the IHSA, maybe potentially having the state championships in Evanston like they used to be back in the day. I think there's some great opportunity for us to use, Ryan Field in ways that give back to the community. And it's tough to do that with grass.
That is a good point. I didn't think
I see that with Soldier Field. Yeah,
I was down there for Chesney. I'm not sure we were really nice to the grass.
I was going to ask you that. So I think this was back in 2017. I was at the Kenny Chesney concert. My buddy was like the 10th caller on B96 or whatever it was, and he invited me that morning. And I saw you, and I drunkenly stumbled up to you, and we both sang the fight song together. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. You were really drunk.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
We snuck down to that section.
Sure. Yeah.
Fight.
It was a little Harry Cares. holy, you're a little Harry Carey-esque. It was good.
That was not one of my finer moments, but yeah.
Anything
So
negative happened that night for you?
I'm sorry.
Did anything negative happen that night?
Oh no, I mean I woke
who
up the
cares?
next morning. I'm like, I just embarrassed myself in front of Coach Fitz, who I'm the biggest Coach Fitz fan on earth. So,
Well, you're not the first guy to do that. I'm telling you, you're getting in line behind me, so don't worry about that. Every once in a while, some of those concerts bring out the best in us. So,
yeah, it's Kenny Chesney in the middle of July in Soldier Field. How are you supposed to not, overdo it just a touch,
man? About as good as it gets,
right? I guess the last question I got for you, unless Ryan's got anything, is this comes directly from a former player and now a GA of yours by the name of Riley Lease. You are aware of Riley Lease, right?
Yeah, he makes good coffee here. He's doing
yeah, exactly. He's just the little errand boy now. He wants to know why you never let him play quarterback at Northwestern University.
I'd pop on his huddle tape and take a look at him from high school, and you would know exactly.
I loved his huddle tape.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why you're sitting where you are and he's sitting where he is.
Oh, he was a freak. He was only a little 2-star.
And then we had him throw some balls in practice, and it was like, wow, we made the right decision putting this dude at wideout because he stinks.
Not even like a little trick play here and there. Actually, he did throw a couple.
That's what we would do. Like, hey, you played quarterback. Riley's like, I did it. We're like, we know. Here, we'll give you the trick play. He throws the ball. It's like, wah, wah, wah. You know what I mean? I got made fun of by Teddy Greenside for not running trick plays. Well, you got to have dudes that can run trick plays, Teddy. You know what I mean? Like, you make fun of me all you want, but we try to run them. They get picked off. We fumble them. So I'd rather get 3 or 4 yards. So Teddy's my guy. But, it's Riley was a unbelievable college receiver.
He was great. Tough as nails, man.
Yeah, unbelievable. Average at best high school quarterback. I mean, I don't know why they ever threw the ball with him. They would have ran it. They probably would have won a state championship.
Can't believe they didn't with him at quarterback. But, Coach, we'll let you go. Good luck in Ireland. When do you guys leave?
The Tuesday that game week. So we'll land Wednesday morning, and we start game week next week. Man, it's crazy how fast this is. So fired up for it, man. I can't wait.
I wish I was going. I should have pulled the trigger, but I always lame out last second until the game starts. Like the Field of Dreams game last summer, I was like, I should have just dropped all the money and went. Yeah.
But all right, you're getting a dub in Dublin. How we're starting the year.
Enjoy a pint of Guinness for us.
We got a T-shirt right there. That's a merch idea right there.
Hey, we'll put
Cam
Cam Porter's name on that. How's he looking, by the way? Is he gonna absolutely dominate Big Ten football this year?
It's great to have him back, man. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
it's great to have him back.
He's a horse.
Yeah.
I saw pictures of him.
I like the beef kit in front of you guys. It's very, very, very appropriate.
We'll send one up to you.
Yep.
But, Coach, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck this year.
You guys are the best, man. Come see us, all right? Go Cats.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon. We'll be there first home game.
All right, cheers. See you guys.
All right, later, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys. Awesome as always, man.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yep, see you soon, Coach.
Anytime.
Hey,
just talk.
And I don't know what the legalities are behind this, but I did mean to bring this up to Paul Kennedy. If you guys, from me personally, need help with any NIL stuff, like pushing stuff, I don't know if you can, if you want to, like the offer's there.
I love it. I mean, why don't you talk to Paul? He's up.
Yeah,
more
for
on
sure.
Rules. Yeah, he's awesome. You guys have a great weekend, all right, man?
Yep, you too.
Awesome. So,
Thanks, Coach.
I got to get back to meetings.
Yep.
Cheers. See you guys.